What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Titans franchise. This is the off-season video for year 3 of the franchise here. We'll be going over season stats and awards along with the playoffs, and then get into free agency and the draft right after. So to start off on this screen, we end up going 3-14. So that does unfortunately get us the #1 overall pick for the worst record in the NFL. Looking at the rest of our division, the Jaguars and the Colts made the playoffs, both going 12-5, with the Texans going 5-12. And right above that, we finished the year at even 80 overall across the board. And down at the bottom left here, we had the number 8th offense and the 32 ranked defense, which is pretty bad. And now taking a look at the playoffs, the number 2 seeded division rival Jaguars make it to the Super Bowl against the number 4 seeded Panthers. So taking a look at the AFC, the Colts end up losing to the Bills, and then the Bills lose to the Chiefs, and the Chiefs eventually lose to the Jaguars as the number 1 seed. You also have the wild card Broncos and Patriots both losing, and then the Bengals lose to the Jaguars. And over on the NFC side, the 7 seed Eagles beat the 2 seed Packers and also beat the 1 seed Cowboys, but end up losing to the 4 seed Panthers in the championship. And then you have the 2 other wildcard teams both losing in the wildcard weekend to the Niners and Panthers. And the Panthers end up beating the 3 seeded 49ers also. I want to say this is the first Super Bowl that does not have a 1 seed in it in quite a while. And looking at the season recap, the Jaguars get their first Super Bowl over the Panthers 17-20, and Devin Lloyd, their middle linebacker, ends up winning the MVP for that game. And looking at the yearly awards now, Patrick Mahomes is going to get his 3rd MVP in a row, his 4th total. Mike McCarthy with the Cowboys wins Coach of the Year. Josh Jacobs is going to win Player of the Year on the offense side of the ball. And Defensive Player of the Year is going to be Micah Parsons. The Titans, AJ McKinley ends up getting Rookie of the Year, which is awesome. And then Rookie of the Year on defense is going to be Nathan Rice for the Cardinals. Damon Johnston came in 2nd place for Rookie of the Year on the defensive side, so that would have been crazy to get both offensive and defensive. Definitely not mad though, he is already superstar, so that's good. So taking a look at our team now, on offense, we had 1 dev upgrade. That's going to be AJ McKinley. He's going to be an X Factor now after winning Rookie of the Year. I don't think there was any other changes on offense from what I can tell. And on defense, Kenneth Murray Jr. goes up to an X Factor and Harold Landry goes down to a star. So Murray Jr. gets a superstar scenario and then gets X Factor at the end of the year for best linebacker. Starting to take a look at stats now, Mahomes, Burrow, and Prescott lead the league in yards. We're going to scroll down until we see Will Levis. Mac Jones had a pretty good year, actually. So the numbers for Levis don't look horrible, but it's really just the completion percentage that looks bad. And Will Levis is top 5 in touchdowns thrown. Taking a look at rushing yards, Jonathan Taylor barely beats out Josh Jacobs for rushing yards, but it's going to have a little bit better of an average there. We will scroll down to Tajay Spears. He's going to be pretty far down. He missed 3 games, basically 4 games, because he got hurt early in the game that he played. He's going to have almost 1,200 yards, 4.7 average, only 4 touchdowns though. So still not a bad year by him at all, by any means. Najee Harris and Aaron Jones will lead the league in touchdowns, followed by a whole bunch of people. Again, we were nowhere near in that category. And receiving yards, CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, and then AJ McKinley lead the top 3, which is surprisingly good. That would have barely cracked the top 10 last year in real life. So we will definitely take that. And as far as touchdowns, it's going to be Jamar Chase, Kelsey, and AJ McKinley again. So we can definitely tell the offense revolves around AJ McKinley. 4 players end up getting over 100 receptions. AJ McKinley was around the top 10. Moving on to the defense, Jerome Baker led the league in tackles with Jamon Davis right behind him. DeForest Buckner led the league in tackles for loss. Al Shire was top 5 in that category. Micah Parsons led the league in sacks with 19.5. We didn't have anyone near. And Divine Diablo led the league in interceptions. A couple people to know is Bobby Wagner's on there still doing it. He did get a couple against us though. And Darius Richards, the superstar X Factor for the Cardinals, ends up getting 4 this year. Taking a look at the division stats, Lawrence had a pretty good year. Levis, again, not having the best of years, but the numbers look good. CJ Stroud continues to struggle. Has a good amount of yards, but the TD to interception ratio is pretty bad. And Richardson has a solid year. Not a whole bunch of pass yards, though. Jonathan Taylor was the rushing leader. He's in our division. Travis Etienne had a solid year. Damian Pierce not looking horrible either. And AJ McKinley again probably has the best year out of anyone here. Christian Kirk not too far behind though. Donovan Peoples-Jones had a really solid year, a lot of big touchdowns for him. Calvin Ridley, not a huge year for him, almost 1,000 yards. So Evan Ingram, not bad, only 1 touchdown though. Zay Jones gets a lot of touchdowns there. And then Rayshawn Black had a really good year for a tight end too. That's a really good tight end one season. Only notable thing at the re-sign stage is we end up franchise tagging our punter Matt Campbell. Moving into free agency now, Charvarius Ward, Hassan Reddick, DJ Reader, Stephon Gilmore, and DeAndre Hopkins end up being the top 5 free agents for this year. Taking a look at the QBs, Justin Fields is the top QB available. We put a contract offer real quick just to see who's interested. And the Packers, Buccaneers, Bears, and Commanders are all interested in Justin Fields. Jordan Love, Kirk Cousins, and Trey Lance are also available here. After the first wave of free agency, we pick up X Factors, Darius Smith, superstar Evan McPherson, left tackle Jedrick Wills Jr., and a wide receiver mentor Brandon Cooks. The people we are still targeting are going to be Trey Lance, Tutu Atwell, Ronald Darby for the mentorship, and second-year safety Christian Gonzalez with 99 hit power. We've gone ahead and upped the offer on most everybody here, so we should be the top of everyone that we're serious about. And it looks like Tutu and Max Williams still have not accepted. We end up getting Ronald Darby and Chris Gonzalez, so that's good. But Trey Lance ends up going to the Packers, Jordan Love ends up going to the Bears, and Justin Fields is now on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So definitely a shakeup with the QBs this year. We end up getting Atwell Williams eventually. Here's where all the top free agents went. Charvarius Ward to the Steelers, Hassan Reddick to the Bucks, DJ Reader to the Steelers as well. We get 2 out of the top 3. Stephon Gilmore to the Lions, DeAndre Hopkins also to the Steelers, so 3 out of the top 5. Interesting. We get Zadarius Smith, of course. Brian Murphy Jr. goes to the Colts. Jabril Peppers also to the Colts. We get Evan McPherson, DeMarcus Lawrence to the Cardinals, David Andrews to the Commanders, Rasul Douglas to the Falcons, Mike Hilton also to the Falcons. Kenny Moore is going to go to the Cardinals. Owusu Koromoa is going to go to the Rams. Jerome Baker also goes to the Colts. So the Steelers, Colts, and Cardinals seem to be the most active in free agency this year. And to recap exactly what we did, we brought in Brandon Cooks, Tutu Atwell, Max Williams, Jedrick Wills Jr., Zadarius Smith, Ronald Darby, Chris Gonzalez, and Evan McPherson. Definitely excited about our free agency class this year. And to take a look at the division, the Colts end up signing a lot of defensive free agents this year. A lot of it seems to be for depth besides the last few people here. But it's still quite a bit of free agent signings for the Colts, it seems like. Definitely excited to play the Colts with their seemingly brand new defense. They are actually my favorite team in real life. They're who I root for. I figured I'd share that now. The Super Bowl winning Jaguars don't end up signing anybody in the offseason, and that's going to be the same for the Texans. And right before the draft, we make a trade for linebacker Austin Jones from the Niners, who they had on the trade block. He is a second-year player with X Factor, so he wasn't very likely to get any playing time with the Niners, so we grabbed him to see if we can develop him at all. So he'll likely be either our 3rd or 4th linebacker this year. Moving on to the NFL draft, we do have the number 1 overall pick this year, along with another first rounder at pick 29. We got that from the Eagles last year. And we are again going to trade down from our first round pick this year. This year's is quite a bit more valuable due to the QBs at the top of the draft. So the Jets are going to trade up. We're going to get their first round this year, which is pick number 9. They're going to send their first for the next 2 years as well, along with a second round pick next year. So I tried to model this after the Panthers trade up this year, and they sent 2 first rounds, DJ Moore, and a second round, and probably a little bit more. So we're getting a 2027 first round pick instead of a player, which I definitely value that more in a franchise. And the Jets are going to go QB at number 1, Cameron Landry out of TCU. So I have 3 QBs ranked at the top of the draft where there's not a whole lot of separation between them. So if we do end up targeting a QB, I'm okay with any of those 3 guys. But the Jets do take Landry at number 1, which most boards probably had him as the best QB. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers with new QB Justin Fields are now on the clock. And they're going to take pass rusher Jermaine Bond, who was very high on my board. Bond was someone I was very highly considering taking at number 1 overall. The Dolphins end up taking Daniel Gore, which is someone I also highly considered taking number 1 overall. But that's going to bring up the Texans, and they're going to take John Kilgore, a left tackle. So they're likely going to shift him to right tackle, it looks like, because they still have Tunsil, I believe. The Rams are up next. Let's see if they're gonna help their second-year QB George Johnson, taken in the first round last year. And they decided to go to the defensive side of the ball with CJ Lucas, another pass rusher. He kind of fell under the radar for me. I don't have a lot of information on him. That brings up the Giants at the pick number 6, and they're gonna go QB Marco Jackson from Mississippi State. So he's probably my second favorite QB in this draft. So it looks like they are moving on from Daniel Jones. And with the second QB off the board, we decided that we want our QB this year in the first round. So we trade up with the Commanders. So we send them number 9 overall and number 61 overall, which is the second round pick. And we get their first round pick, and they're also going to send us a 4th and a 5th back. But with our pick, we are going to select quarterback Braden Mills from Georgia. What really set him apart from the other QBs for me was his throw under pressure and his throwing on the run. Both of those are things I value a lot from a quarterback. So that's something Braden Mills is going to do very well in our offense. He has solid short and deep accuracy. His medium's not great. That's something we can definitely work on. Injury is also a concern with him. But overall, I'm super excited about Braden Mills. And the Vikings go with defensive tackle Terrence Glover. I thought he looked pretty solid. Washington on the clock now. And they go wide receiver Bradley Taylor. So they trade down with us, and they're still able to get their number 1 wide receiver. Taylor was my number 1 or 2 receiver on my board. And with the Steelers on the clock now, they are also going to go wide receiver. They're going to get Dylan Robinson. What intrigued me about him is he had the highest vertical jump at around, I think, 38 or 39 inches. And yet he's only 5'9". Falcons go with right end Bobby Hammond. The Saints are going to go with pass rusher Darrell Combs. Lions go with Matthew Warfield, defensive tackle out of Virginia Tech. The Raiders go with a right guard James Rush. Defensive tackle Jonathan Bush goes to the Seahawks. And the Chargers go with left tackle Aiden Cutler. There's a lot of talent at the top of the draft for left tackle and right tackle. So if the board falls right, we're definitely going to target that with our next pick if we can. And the Texans go with a really good looking cornerback, Donnell Elliott out of Clemson. And the Ravens get Christian McIntyre, who I think is the best interior O-lineman in this draft. And the Bears get Malik Wright, which is my number 1 free safety, someone I considered moving up for. But they take him here, so I don't get the opportunity to. And the next QB is going to go to the Broncos, Carlos Gomez. So the Russell Wilson era is over in Denver. And skipping a few ahead here, we have the Colts, who take pass rusher Lucas Gilmore. And 1 pick before ours, the Cowboys go left tackle Joe Martinez. The Bengals also took a left tackle right before them. And with the Titans being on the board now, we are going to go with wide receiver Deshaun Collins out of Florida State. Collins looked like the most well-rounded receiver to me and ended up falling all the way down to the end of the first. And we go ahead and draft Deshaun Collins, and he is going to be a hidden development here. And he's got 97 speed with a 91 acceleration, so that's definitely not bad. Very excited about Deshaun Collins for the Titans. And the very last pick in the first round will be the Jags, and they take LaMichael Marion, a cornerback out of Alabama. I really like the top 2 cornerbacks in this draft, and they both go to division rivals, of course. And to start off the second round, we take free safety Jalen Cage out of California. He does end up being normal development, but after losing out on Malik Wright, I didn't want to pass on Jalen Cage here, as we did not have a free safety on the roster at this point. And right after us, the Buccaneers go Cole McDougald, QB out of UCF. They just pick up Justin Fields in free agency, and at the top of the second overall pick, they take Cole McDougald, a QB. That's going to be an interesting one there. We'll have to take a look and see how he looks. And another surprising QB pick is going to be Tyler Coleman out of Miami to the Texans. So they may be done with CJ Stroud after just 2 years. And moving a bit forward in the draft here, we have our next second round pick, and we're going to take Brandon Winter out of Florida State. Looked like a super solid corner for both man and zone. So Brandon Winter, I'm super excited for this year. And the next QB to come off in the second round is going to be Demarius McLean to the Seahawks out of UL Monroe. And to finish off the second round for us, we're going to go with linebacker Moses Sellers. Has A power moves, had a decent combine as well. Definitely a bit of a reach here. I just didn't want to lose out on him. So it's someone I was very intrigued by. 21 out of Columbia, so definitely has room to improve, but still definitely a reach. And in the third round, we take off-ball linebacker Stanley Gathers out of Oklahoma. Evan Mincy, cornerback out of Northwestern, is going to be our next pick. Really good zone corner here, and he's gonna have hidden development, which is always good. We'll see how much playing time he'll get this year, see if he can unlock that. We're gonna pick up another quarterback, Caleb Von McNeil out of LSU, so he'll be looking for a roster spot with us. Next we have free safety out of Georgia, Dante Hicks. He looked to have the best hit power in the class, so that's why I picked him up. Moving into the draft recap, Braden Mills is going to be a 73 overall. Not the worst, definitely not the best, obviously. That's kind of where I expected him to be. He's definitely not going to be number 4. At least I really don't think so. Short accuracy, really solid. Medium and deep, not great. Medium is a little better than where I thought it would be. Throw on the run, 88 though, really good. And under pressure, only a 78, so that's a little bit disappointing. A little lower than I would have hoped. Again, coming in with that 80 speed and 89 acceleration, not bad. And 87 agility, not horrible either. Where's his break sack? 82 is not horrible by any means. 92 throw power is solid enough. And rather going to our next pick here, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the NFL. And take a look at the quarterbacks and see who we passed on. Cameron Landry taking number 1 overall. It's gonna be a 74 overall. We're gonna have 95 throw power, which was pretty expected. Good accuracies there. Under pressure is gonna be barely above Mills. Throw on the run's gonna be quite a bit lower. His accuracies are gonna be a little bit better, but overall I like Mills a lot more. And Marco Jackson's gonna end up being a normal development. He's gonna be 75 overall though, and he has 97 throw power, which is really good. His accuracies look solid, probably the best out of all 3 so far. Throw on the run, not great, and under pressure is just around the same as everyone else so far. Carlos Gomez taking 20 overall to the Broncos. Gonna have 91 throw power. Accuracies are all right. Throw on the run and under pressure are boosted, but still aren't bad. Gomez definitely would not have been a bad option. I still like Mills just a little bit better though, but they are very similar. Cole McDougald was the next QB taken off the board to the Bucks, and he's gonna be hidden as well. And he's looking probably like a worse version of Braden Mills and Gomez, because his throw on the run and under pressure are not great. Tyler Coleman, the next QB that was taken, he's a lot lower and overall is still hidden though. But he's gonna have 99 throw power. His accuracies are not great at all. Same with throw on the run and throw under pressure. But that 99 throw power is probably what got him drafted. And he also has 84 speed, which is not bad either. The last QB we'll take a look at is Matt Styles. And honestly, I don't think his ratings are bad at all, besides maybe throw power. But he's gonna be a scrambler quarterback, and I would not have been mad if I drafted him. Taking a look at a couple of the top draft picks here, we have Jermaine Bond, who's going to be a hidden development. He's looking solid with 89 acceleration, 83 speed, and 79 finesse moves. Nothing generational or crazy here, so I'm not mad we passed there. Next is going to be Daniel Gore, and he's going to be hidden as well. 86 speed, 87 acceleration, and pretty even on the power and finesse moves. So more of a well-rounded pass rusher there. Not mad we passed on him either though. John Kilgore looking pretty good. His power is not great, even though his strength is really good, so I'm not sure how that doesn't translate. CJ Lucas ends up being a normal, so I'm glad we didn't even have him on our radar. I would have been disappointed. Terrence Glover also ends up being a normal. Moving on to wide receivers, Deshaun Collins was our pick. 97 speed, 91 acceleration, good catching stats. Not super great short and medium route running, so he's gonna be kind of a deep threat, it looks like, with a solid release. So yeah, he's looking like a deep threat who can hopefully develop into more. Bradley Taylor's looking very similar, just not quite as good. His medium route running is a little bit better, but his deep route running is a lot worse. He is still a hidden development though. The next pick is Dylan Robinson. He comes in as the highest overall of the 3, and again he's looking like a very similar receiver to the last 2. Where he's gonna stand out though is a 91 jumping. He is still only 5'9" though, so I'm not sure how much that counteracts that. So I still think Deshaun Collins is the best of the 3. Taking a look at our first second round pick, Jalen Cage has really solid skills. He's 76 on both coverages there. He's at a solid 90 on speed and acceleration as well. Only 78 hit power though, so nothing crazy there. Just a overall really solid player. Malik Wright has hidden development. He was my top safety. He's looking just about the same with a little bit better hit power, so nothing too much more. But what's really the difference there is that hidden development. So if he ends up being like an X factor, that's gonna be huge. Brandon Winter, our second round corner, is looking really solid as well. He's got 91 acceleration and speed, 81 man coverage, 75 zone, 73 press, which isn't horrible. He's looking like he can be a really solid corner, and if he has anything above a star, he's going to be huge for us. Taking a look at the other two corners that I did not get a chance to take, Donnell Elliott is going to end up being a normal. His stats are going to be roughly the same, just a little bit better probably, but his speed's going to be a lot better as well. And then same thing with Michael Marion. He's going to be normal as well, but again, he has just as good stats as everyone else, and his speed's going to be a little bit better, but the difference here is he's going to be 6'4". I think all three of these players would have been a good pick. Michael Marion, my favorite of the three. Michael Marion, my favorite of the three, not including the dev trait. So if Winter has a better dev trait, then I definitely go him all day over the other two. Taking a look at the rest of our draft class here, Moses Sellers is only going to be a 66 overall. So we're going to have to find ways to get him on the field that makes sense. He's likely to get snaps as a rotational pass rusher. Stanley Gathers looking like a decent off-ball linebacker. He's going to get rotated in that third linebacker spot with Austin Jones most likely. And looking here at the bottom of our draft class, a lot of players here just drafted for depth. One note is Evan Mincy does have hidden development, so hopefully we can look to unlock that at some point. So let's take a look at what the division did, and we've already seen LaMichael Marion. Let's take a look at Grant Hall out of Alabama, and he's going to be an off-ball linebacker for sure. And he's going to be an off-ball linebacker. He's not going to have great zone coverage though. I mean, he's a good tackler, has good pursuit, so I guess he's good in run support. And Elliott Kerr is someone I let slip past me and just totally forgot about. I really wanted to draft them, and they actually look really good, so I'm pretty disappointed that we didn't get to draft them. And he's gonna go to a division rival on top of that. No one else really to note for the Jaguars. Moving on to the Texans, we've seen their top 3 draft picks already. Not looking like a horrible class, although the QB is a little questionable. I'm not really sure that's your CJ Stroud replacement. This linebacker is looking decent. He does have hidden, so he's going to be an off-ball linebacker, and his zone is not horrible as well. He's got good speed too, so that's looking like a solid pick there. No one else really noteworthy for the Texans here. And looking at the Colts' first pick is going to be Lucas Gilmore, a speed rusher off the edge, and he's looking pretty solid. He's got good finesse moves, not horrible power moves for usually finesse guys. Usually they're a lot worse than that, I feel like. Block shedding is okay. He has good speeds, but not a bad pick for them at all. Steve Hamilton's going to be their second round receiver who has hidden development. They're going to be 6'5" out of Texas, and they're not going to have the best of stats for route running, mainly making their money in the short game. Would have definitely expected more of a deep ball, jump ball type of receiver here. They definitely look solid and look like they could definitely develop. Randomly decided to look at Troy Hurst here, and they do have hidden. And they also pick up Shaquille Woody in the 7th round, and they have hidden development as well. He's going to be 5'11", with solid speed. Again, not much of a deep route runner or medium. They're going to be making their money in the short game. So 2 hidden development wide receivers for them is looking like a solid class. Well, that's going to do it for this one. We'll have our first 2 games in the next episode. We'll likely have a preseason recap right before those as well. But if you're looking forward to that, subscribe, like, and I will see you there.